The man, the myth, the legend. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me, Jeff. Thank you.
Absolutely. You know what? You are. This will not surprise you at all. But when I first thought about doing this podcast, I wrote down a list of names of people I wanted to have on here, and you were the very first person I wrote down for so many different reasons. But obviously, you and I have always got along great. I've always loved talking with you, and people in Louisville still to this day still come up to me, talk to me about Russ. They want to know about Russ. So how are you? Tell the people how you're doing.
Man, I don't know where to start. I've been doing well, hanging on. Obviously COVID and slowed some stuff up, but I've just been expanding my portfolio, my life portfolio, so to speak. But now I'm currently in China and just waiting to play. I signed in like October, but it's been really hard to get out here with all the restrictions and stuff. And now I'm just finally happy I can play some ball. I got some bourbon cooking, getting ready to come out, and I've just been dabbling in other stuff, just trying to stay busy.
You've been seemingly everywhere. You've done music also. You've gotten into the music side of things. I know you've always been interested in that. In addition to, as you said, the bourbon business. What I knew about the music side of it, but how did you get into the bourbon stuff? Is that an acquired taste from being in Louisville?
Yeah, I would say so. Especially when I once I got here in college, when I got here for college, I didn't realize how big it was here. And then you dabble in college, you have some fun, try spirits and stuff. And then after I got out, I started meeting a lot of like older folk here in the state who were very familiar with the spirit. And from there, I kind of just got attracted to the aura, the taste, the different palettes, the styles, the brands, the story, the history, the tradition, and everything is much better when there's a good story behind it.
Mhm.
And that's what I took from it. And from there, I just went down the rabbit hole and found that that's something that I feel like I can pursue for the rest of my life.
Was that like how have you evolved as a bourbon guy? Have you like are you like able to taste the difference now and stuff? Like are you
Oh,
an educated bourbon guy?
I don't want to flatter myself too much, but but I'm definitely pretty good. The stuff that I drink like normally, I'm able to tell the difference in palate. I'm very familiar with my high and low proofs. And there's just still a lot to learn. I don't want to say that I'm there because I know I'm not, but I know there's so much more that I can learn from what I already know now. And I would say the hardest part too is not only understanding like brands and the history and the tradition, it's understanding like the chemistry and the science
Mhm.
behind it all, like the mash bills, the grains, and getting to know my master blenders and distillers. Like it's a really interesting industry.
Well, you've always been a curious guy. You've always liked learning how things work. I know that from our conversations over the years we've talked about fashion, shoes.
Yeah.
Obviously, basketball was one of your first loves. So it doesn't surprise me that you're interested in the process of side of things and what it takes, especially knowing that there are so many smart people who are behind the bourbon industry, working in the bourbon industry in the Louisville area.
Right. No, they're great, and my team is great that I've been working with. I mean, 40, 30 plus years of experience. So it's always a good thing when you're not the smartest person in the room. And those guys have been helping me. And to piggyback off that, um, I was also pursuing my real estate license, and I had gotten injured some time back while I was injured, and once I recovered, I got a phone call to go play basketball, so I couldn't really finish it out. And then COVID struck, And once COVID struck, when I came back, there was no more like group study things. So like besides even the bourbon and the music, I was actually trying to get my real estate license, and I was pretty close to that. So I think I'll be certified in the future in that field because I got some pretty good knowledge on how that industry works as well.
I love that. Well, you got to use the bourbon logo as your real estate agent billboard signs. That'd be pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
I'm gonna put it on the card.
Well, I think so many people here have been following you, obviously, since you left school and following your basketball career, in addition to the other ventures that you're involved in. Something that I've always thought was a great aspect of social media is that people can share their experiences when they're doing things that we're not used to. And you've always been pretty good about sharing what life is like in China and playing there and just experiencing basketball over there. How is it different? Like what is, I guess that's a huge question. There's probably a million things that are different, but what's different about it compared to the United States?
I was speaking to my Chinese agent yesterday about the same question. What I enjoy most is I love the culture, and I love how like I would say like peaceful. There's not too many distractions while I'm here in China, and that's what I enjoy the most. And then what I enjoy is that when I play basketball, I'm able to play and be as creative as I want, with no political pullback or no political setbacks. And that's been my biggest, fight here in the States. It's going to a team and maybe here in America, and it's always something. It's always something political. And I've always just wanted to play basketball the best way I can, the way I know I can, and that's how I've always played it since I've been a little boy, and I've been successful playing the game of basketball the way I know how to play it. And maybe I should have tried to do better or change. I don't know, but while I'm here, I play the way I like to play. But it's just a totally different culture off the court. It's the communication part I enjoy. I enjoy trying to communicate in another language. I've made a bunch of great friends here, and they don't even speak English. We communicate through our phones, and and share memories, share laughs and experiences. But I enjoy that, and I don't know if that's weird or I don't know, but it's very simple over here for me. And the food is very different, so got used to that.
That's something that I noticed from when I was in Europe last season, was talking to a lot of, especially American players who were over there, that it can be hard. I mean, it can be hard if you're away from friends and family and all that stuff. But on the flip side, you've got your place where you live. You've got your basketball life. Your teammates are the people you probably hang out with the most. Yeah. And it allows you to just kind of focus in on that aspect of your life, even if it's only for like 6, 8, 10 months, whatever it is. That's your thing while you're there.
Right. And here in China, I mean, we have a short season. So what I've been doing the past couple of years, I'm able to play 4 months out the year and call it a season. Or I might double up. I might play 3 months one season and 4 months in another season over here. And I'm just in Kentucky and I'm working on my stuff. And I have time to do community things and give back or work on my businesses. And it's just very simple. And that's what I enjoy the most.
So something that I've always, we managed to get together like seemingly every probably 2 years, 3 years or so. We'll sit down and talk about whatever is going on in your life. And something that has always struck me is you've got the pure joy of basketball and the way that you love to play and the way that it brings out your character and who you are, matched with that. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, sort of the frustration of finding your way in the American game. And obviously at Louisville, you were able to kind of blossom, playing in a system that allowed you to do that. And I'm just curious how you've dealt with that frustration over the years, because it has to feel restricting at times for someone who is known to play and just live in a way that is just so full of joy and freedom of expression.
I mean, not gonna lie, like I even tell a lot of my friends and a lot of people that ask, it sucks. I see a lot of my friends or competitors who I've competed against, and they're on rosters and they have monster salaries, and it sucks. And but the one I've went through that growing up my whole life, so I was always able to deal with it. And the best way that I've dealt with it was to keep myself busy. And the more I keep myself busy, the more I don't have to focus on what's kind of making me upset or triggered or frustrated. Because if I'm doing something cool, then people in that industry, they're in that industry that I'm doing something cool, and they're gonna go, oh wow, at least he's trying, or he's putting in the groundwork. Or if I'm doing something hands-on in the community, which a lot of people don't, a lot of people don't do things hands-on in the community, and I've always have. That's always been my staple to give back. I think that goes, that means more than maybe worrying about if I'll end up on a roster or what my other competitors are doing. But yeah, it does. It does suck. I mean, all those guys that were on the All-American list are, I think, on a roster, or all the guys that I made first team with or Naismith with, they're on a roster. And I don't think it has nothing to do with them being better than me. I just feel like it's it's just the way the game is. You can't hate the player. It's the game. And I'm here in China, and I'm able to support my family and have fun playing basketball. Some guys aren't in that situation at all. They might get paid a lot, but they may not be able to leave a legacy for themselves the way that they may have seen. And I've been blessed to do that here in China. I've been blessed to do that in college, and I've been blessed to do it off the court. So I just look at all my blessings and go, I mean, I feel like I'm in a pretty good seat, and I got two little brothers, and I know how the game works. Three actually. I know how the game works now, so I'll be able to help my brothers in navigating the system and figuring out, what to do, what not to do, because I've been through it all. And so yeah, like I think. So yeah, in a nutshell, it is frustrating. But
you seem to have handled it okay. You seem to have handled it just fine and found happiness the way you know how, and that's good. That's all you can ask for. You've gone viral a few times too at workouts and stuff like that. Are you does that blow up your phone when you there's videos of you in workouts and stuff, showing off a new move or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's crazy because it's not surprising. It's like it's the elephant in the room. It's like if I'm the I don't know, the Spurs or the Orlando Magic, I'm good. So that we know this, and then that's the most frustrating part. So it's like, yeah, we know Russ, but we're gonna give the other player a shot. And it's like. I feel like I'm my game or my name is so strong, but it's easily dismissive, and I don't know where that comes from. But I'm just as athletic as I've always been, maybe even a better player. I think a better player, and I can play this for another 8 to 10 years. The way I feel, so we'll see how this goes because I'm in perfect shape and form, and I'm one of the last players somebody's agent wants to see. and I know that. So it's I can't wait to get into a training camp or get another opportunity because I'm always ready.
What about, have you, I know you had the brief stint in Turkey. Have you considered playing in Europe? I'm sure you've had options over there every year.
Man, yeah, I get like the phone calls and if I'm available or not. But because of my last stint there with the coach, he's like I, he's making it difficult to go back to Turkey
Mhm.
with someone else. I don't even think it's because I'm a bad player. I think it's because if I go somewhere else and I do what I'm known to do over there, it's gonna make him look bad. And and but everywhere else, I've gotten calls to play in France, top league in France, top teams in Spain, top teams everywhere in Europe.
Mhm.
Israel just recently, and I've turned a lot of those down because I like playing in China,
Mhm.
and if the opportunity calls for me to, play a certain role, and if it's something that I like, and or a team that I like, a system that I like, maybe I'll go. But as of right now, I've been having a lot of fun playing here, and
Mhm.
I have no problem picking here any day of the week.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously you've had a lot of success over there. So why wouldn't you keep pushing there? Although I will say, Russ, the thought of you being like, the spokesman for like a crepe company in France, like as like the translation from your breakfast love in the US, that is attractive to a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, hell yeah. I love a good crepe too, man. That's I love a good crepe.
Well, all right. So I got to ask you. We've exchanged a couple tweets. I know you've watched Louisville before you went over to China. I'm sure you'll still be able to catch some of their games, even if it's in the future where you are. But what are your when you watch Louisville play? How do you view those games? Because you used to wear that jersey. So it's got to be a totally different experience than like if you were a fan or if you were a former coach or whatever. Like the players view it so differently. So what's it like for you watching this current Louisville team play?
Man, not gonna lie, it's pretty it's tough because it reminded me of my time when I was in Memphis, and but instead this team doesn't have, a Zach Randolph or Mark Gasol in the paint. So it's the style this team is playing with is very consistent, and it's a great half court style. It's a great one. But I personally, because I like fast systems. That's just
Mm-hmm.
my preference. I would like to see this team run more and get easier baskets. I think that would take this team to a top 15, top 12 team consistently versus a top 20 bubble team. And as a player, now watching the guys run around and hoop, it's pretty cool. Like I get to sit there and I get to be a fan, and I'm friends with all those guys, on the court, and I'm friends with the guys on the staff. So it's pretty cool. And so I try not to critique too hard because I don't think it's my place,
Mm-hmm.
to tell somebody how to do their job or how to coach. Mac is one of the most successful coaches in the game in college basketball right now. And coach Delgado is great. I mean, I watched him, coach Paul and Gray when he was over at Wake, and coach Luke. I knew Luke when he was in since I was a young kid in New York, and he was
Mm-hmm.
recruiting and running his rounds. And Coach Marquise, I know all the guys he knows and up in the DC area. So I'm very acquainted with those guys and their styles, their system, their backstories. So I think they're doing a great job, an excellent job, especially what was with the situation they've been put in
Mm-hmm.
with all the stuff surrounding the university. I think Vince Tyree did a great job with the hire. Could he have picked someone else? Yes, there's a million other coaches he could have picked, but I think for what we need right now and the trajectory of the program, I think that this was a solid and great hire. But as far as the players, I like David and I like Carlik. I love the backcourt. I think we have a excellent backcourt, and I think if I'm a coach or a player, we utilize that backcourt a little more and get them to create easier opportunities for everybody because they're smart. David's a smart guard, a big smart guard who could pass over the defense and make high level decisions. And Carlik is a seasoned veteran in college basketball, and he can make great decisions. I think them two should be in opportunities where they get to play off of their creativity in a secondary, faster offensive. Defensively, I think they're one of the better defensive teams. They can switch everything on screens and off the ball. They're athletic. They're 6'5", 6'7". They rebound well. I like this team. I really do. But it's just that when you saturate. I think saturating greatness in the half court waters the greatness down. And if you can be good, because right now we don't have no fast break, no secondary, I don't think. Mm-hmm. But if we can be good or just above average in our secondary and fast break and be great in the half court, 20 or 15 minutes in the game, that'll show some great signs for success even now and in the future. That's my take.
Yeah, it's true though. I mean, it's true. It's like it's hard to think of the scoring is not as comfortable as it could be for them. It's not. There should be easier baskets somewhere in there for them, and I don't. It just doesn't seem to be there right now. And maybe Sam Williamson being more of an aggressive player around the basket, getting offensive rebounds, maybe that helps a little bit. But it just like the runouts and that kind of stuff that just isn't. It's not there.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I like with Sam. Sam's an athletic guy and he's a slasher. He's not going to take you off the bounce in a half court set. Mm-hmm. That's just not him. David as well. David's not going to take you off the bounce. He's a big guard, so he might penetrate a little bit, but that's not him. Carlik can do a little bit more, but I would like to really see those guys in closeout situations and breakdowns. Just a faster pace. But even when we had Jordan, I felt like Jordan could have been a 25 a game guy in college basketball. Like he can shoot the lights out, he gets fouled, he runs out. But it's the half court system really compresses a lot of offense. But think about it. This is a top 25 team in a half court system. That's like in a only half court offense. That's crazy. Like that's awesome. But if we could be a little risky, I think we can see some progress. That's my only grievance.
The airing of grievances. Is there a player on the current team who you would most like to play with? When you think of in terms of college Russ, which player on the current team that maybe I would think it might be David.
That's
Johnson.
Easy, David. Yeah, David.
So.
Easy. I mean, I could hoop with any of those guys. Don't get me wrong, but David. David reminds me of like a Mark Jackson kind of guard, or a Jason Kidd when Jason Kidd became more of a veteran, like on Dallas. Mm-hmm. He's very solid. Can see over the defense. He can, and then he'll get better knocking threes down as he gets older. But I like David's upside, and I think he could be really special. I love his unselfishness, and yeah, I am a fan of DJ.
He kind of reminds me. in some ways, in his understanding of spacing the floor and knowing to let Carlik do his thing at times and kind of space the floor out and draw attention, kind of reminds me a little bit of when Terry was a freshman and you were the
Right.
senior, and Terry really understood. Like, we both know Terry could have come out as a freshman
Yeah.
and taken 15 shots and got his and all that stuff, but he understood spacing and how to kind of let you go and be kind of the balancing act.
And honestly, man, I tell this to everybody. Terry's probably one of he's probably, but there's a lot of great scorers I've played with. And as a scorer, as an elite scorer, I'm saying this, he's one of the best scorers I've ever played with. He's one of the best scorers I've ever seen. And I've always respected Terry because he was able to find the balance of going, I need the rebound to be for this team to be great, or I need to get guys involved, or I need to just, be the fourth or fifth option when I could be the first. And he understood that as a freshman, and then going forward, playing in the league. And that's one of the things I probably envy about him the most, his ability to have that temperament going into a style or a new team. And I'm just now starting to understand that, the past 2 years, 2 or 3 years, what I need to do to get our team, for our team to be great. But Terry's been doing that since a freshman. So, I love that. Donovan's another guy, another player like that. Donovan never was the best offensive player, but he always brought intangibles to the team. So to see him on Utah being the offensive threat that he is just shows the elevation of his game.
Definitely. And all of those guys had the original IQ, kind of they started with that. And that, like, when I watch David Johnson, you can almost tell, like, if you freeze the frame before a turnover, for instance, like, you can see what he's thinking. You can see, like, okay, this guy will be open if he throws this pass, or, this bucket could, this driving lane could exist if I move over here. You can see his brain working like that. And all the guys you just mentioned all had that about them.
Yeah, his wheels are always spinning. The way to be a great point guard, or a great guard in general, is you got to see certain plays and actions before it happens, and you have to be able to prepare to counter before your defender counters. So if I'm driving the basket, I'm already driving to the basket or making a play, I'm anticipating somebody coming off weak side, somebody coming off strong side, the guy who's behind me. I'm anticipating the big man, how he's going to reach, where he's going to step. So while all of my wheels is spinning, I have 9, 12 counter moves ready for all of them. And when I watch David play, his wheels are always turning spinning, because he's not the fastest guy. He's not the quickest guy, but he has to make all the right decisions, and he has to get to spots efficiently. So he has to prepare for any mishaps. And I think he's done a great job to be a big man, to be a big guard, and his first year really running the show. I think he's done great. So
yeah, I mean, he's put himself in position to be a first round draft pick. So, I mean, that's he's done okay for himself.
That's tough, man. That's tough.
Yeah.
It's some good guys that come out of Louisville, man. It's an underrated crop. Being from New York, and having a lot of friends everywhere, and in the game, Louisville has a very underrated crop. And I think the crop that comes from Louisville is very laid back and unselfish, and it's just a very interesting culture. When I watch Rajon, when I watch Derek Anderson play, when I watched D'Angelo play, and there's other guys from the area, Dwayne Sutton, like, those guys are just so laid back, but there's so much they're so smart, and they're big and they're strong for their position, and they just really think the game out. So whoever's doing basketball here in Louisville, Kentucky, you guys need to merge together and get the crop together and start making super teams, because everybody they're missing out. They're missing out. Put all your grievances aside and anchor up.
Well, it's funny. Okay, so it's funny you say that. So one of my favorite all time. It's not really a story. It's more of like a change in strategy, like an idea that you had, that you told me, was when you felt like you had maybe cracked the code on Rick Pitino, that you had kind of thought, I can get to him and I can let him understand who I am, and he can let me be me, and I'll do what he wants me to do, by just showing up at his office and like asking him how his day was going. Do you remember when we talked about that last time? Like,
yeah.
how did that idea come to you? Like, how did you think to start just talking to him and see if that might lighten him up a little bit?
Hey, honestly, it helped the relationship a whole lot, but that's just me. It's just me. Besides, if I didn't, let's say I wasn't a basketball player, I've made so many friends here in Kentucky. Not just Louisville. Like people might go, "Oh, Russ, he knows everybody in Louisville." No, I know everyone in Kentucky. Like I have friends, Bowling Green, friends in Lexington, friends in Moorhead, and I just like to make friends, be personable. When I was out on campus, I spent a lot of my time with the students of the school, and a lot of my teammates, they didn't. That's really not something athletes do on campus. They spend time with the athletes,
Mm-hmm.
and so when I wasn't playing, I was just like, all right, well, I might as well let me get to know my coach. Let me talk to him and see how his day's going. At least I can make him laugh or bring something to the table. Like, but it was funny when I was a sophomore and I would go out. He would know I would go out because it would be somebody that knows him that I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking to, being friends, and coach is like, "You went out yesterday," and I'm like, "How you know?" "Well, Paul told me," and I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, yeah." Me and Paul had a Moscow Mule at at Molly Malone's. It's but it was just really good to get a chance to like be in his office and let him know that I was outgoing and personable, and I think he needed that. Like even now, like we're friends. I think that was an element that he was missing, and I think a lot of coaches miss out on that. There's a lot of great personalities within your team or at the end of the bench, and sometimes that can really help your day. Like just forget basketball a little bit. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about the guy you met yesterday that we both know,
Mm-hmm.
and take a 5-10 minute break.
That's probably a good move, and it clearly helped foster a relationship that reaped a lot of success over your last couple of years. Do you still keep in touch with him? It sounds like you guys still stay in touch.
Yeah, like I'll just call him randomly. Like it's no motives, no nothing. Just ask him something random. Like what piece of steak have you had lately, or what glass of wine are you drinking? How's the team? Who did he yell at? It's just fun talking to him, and he became a really good friend and a mentor, someone I can go to, and and that's not only with Coach P, even with Little P. I was in Minnesota. We had some cigars together. That was nice. And Coach Bellotto, I went out with Coach Bellotto. Had dinner with him a couple times, and A bunch of my older coaches, Masiello, of course, like that's always going to be my brother. I just caught up with Ralph Willard not too long ago, the guy who kind of brought me to Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Friends with my high school coach, a great man, and I just I'm a bro. I'm a bud. What can I say? I'm a bud.
I'm curious because you've always been a pretty thoughtful guy when it comes to Pitino, and you've always had, obviously, you know him as well as anyone for playing with him, or playing for him, I should say. But how do you look at, like, what is your emotion, I guess, and your basketball view of his legacy? And I'm sure it was painful for you to see him and Louisville part ways. I'm sure that was really difficult for a lot of you guys who played for him, and were so proud to play for Louisville. But how do you view Pitino, and like, how do you think history will remember him?
I think it's tough because people are always going to be people. I've seen some malicious comments and heard some malicious things about him from people who never stepped foot in the state of Kentucky or met the guy. I've seen comments from people who absolutely love him, will drive places to get his book that's sold out in the state because they love him, but they've never met him. I think for all the coaches he's put in situations or places to be successful, I think they'll remember him in the best light, because without Coach Pitino, there's not 30 or 40% of a lot of the guys that are on staff in college basketball to this day. I think what he's done at Providence, UK, Louisville, and every place he's ever been is nothing short of legendary. It's amazing. It's great, and his greatness didn't only stop. It wasn't only at the college level. He won in Greece, and he won in Greece at the highest level. He's coached at the highest level and was pretty successful. Given now that I know what goes on in the NBA, it's not. The NBA is ran by the agents and then players. So with Coach, I think that I truly believe that he'll be remembered in the best light by people who understand and know the game of basketball. The people who don't know basketball, never played, maybe played on their fifth grade church team, and just has a nostalgia. They might have some things to say, but their opinion isn't really worth it. But the people that are around basketball, that study the game, that know the game, that write about it, talk about it, live it, breathe it, play it, they'll remember him in the best light. And for me personally, regardless of anything, Coach will always be a mentor, will always be a great friend of mine. He's helped me in life, and that's more important than being helped basketball wise. And I always I want to thank him for the opportunity. When 8, 7, 9 guys got hurt that season, he could have kept me on the bench, but instead he decided to play me and give me a chance to fail. That's all I ever needed, was an opportunity to fail. And ever since I've left the university, the only opportunity I've ever had to fail was in China. I've never had an opportunity to fail in the NBA. I've never had an opportunity to fail when I got to Europe. And for that, I'll love him forever for that.
Yeah, what an interesting way of putting it. Opportunity to fail. I feel like that's the ultimate Russ Smith phrasing there, because it is like, it's you're the classic, like, let's make a potion here. Let's put together a recipe, and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. But if it doesn't work, I'm going to figure something else out and make it happen again.
And make it happen. Oh, right. But that's what it is. And that's life. And if you have enough guys in your corner to see it through, I never did. I had a coach or two. Masiello and Ralph left after my freshman year, and I know this guy's name is not too popular in Louisville, but Andre McGee believed in me, and that's a friend of mine. And he was very important to my success at Louisville. And with him and coach, they gave me that opportunity to go out there and go, you weren't recruited by nobody on the staff. Nobody knew you were here. But we believe in you. And that same rule applies for the NBA. You know, you can't have LaMelo Ball without having LaMelo Ball be LaMelo Ball. It's impossible. Like, you have to allow him to fail. You have to. Like, you have to allow him to have a game where he has 8 turnovers. I have to sit here and watch. We have to sit here and watch Ben Simmons shoot not make a 3 the entire year. You know how crazy that is? That's insane. But he's able to fail. He's able to get better for 82 games. Not that is with opportunity. Opportunity is that's a luxury. And there's plenty of guys in the NBA that get those opportunities, and it's a blessing. And even overseas in China, I average 60 points a game. Nobody gets those opportunities. Nobody. And that's the most important thing. When you get an opportunity to fail, it's a beautiful thing.
Well, yeah, and it gives you that freedom to explore what success looks like. It makes you think more in those terms because you're not afraid to fail, because you know that there's runway for that. You can then worry more about what's in front of you than what might be underneath you.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. All right. So last couple things then. I've already held you longer than I said I would, but I got to ask you,
You're fine.
You know, it's been 5 years. I know that it's difficult for all of you guys, but like, do you have any sort of bigger perspective now on everything that happened with the NCAA? I know you had the comeback ceremony that you guys had to kind of re-celebrate 2013. Like, how do you look at that whole situation, and how has it affected you in any way?
For me, I don't. I've always looked ahead and put. I felt like that was nonsense anyway. I mean, I felt like that was more business, more personal than it was truth. There's a God. I'm sorry if I'm freezing up, but there's a quote by Mark Twain, and it has something to do with the truth. And it was so true. It was like, if you know the truth, then I forgot what it was, but maybe you'll be able to reference it later.
Okay.
But it has something to do with like the situation at hand not being everything it was thought out to be. Mm-hmm. And because of that, it leaves a nasty taste. But for me, I've always looked past it, and just decided to put it all behind me. And I never really thought anything of it. But for some of my teammates, it does suck, because it's like that's their college experience, and that's what some of those guys, some of my friends, will be remembered as. I was fortunate to be, All-American, Wood Enlist, Naismith, and have a lot of stuff under my belt. But for some guys, it's like that's what they have, like that's their experience. So for it to be snatched like that, their experience in the media, not like physically, nobody's going to come and get our rings back. That's or our memories back, but the actual feeling of it, it's a buzz. Like you know what? It's a buzzkill. It's a buzzkill. You're having a that's you know what? That's what it is. I found the word. You're having a great time out. You're enjoying yourself. You're in a great environment. There's drinks, there's cigars, and then someone who's super drunk just comes in and vomits on your shirt. It's like if you have another shirt in your car, you could just go in your car, change your outfit, change your shirt, and come back in. Make sure the guy's okay and continue with your night, or you can let that vomit ruin your entire week, your entire day. You can harp on the fact that he ruined your evening forever, and that's what that was. But yeah, like I've dealt with that perfect, so it doesn't really bother me. I was actually very happy to when I spoke with Vince, we were talking about it and talking just about Louisville and how fun it was, and then the retirement of my jersey came up, and he had brought it up, so it was I feel like everybody's kind of past it, and we all know what it was and what it was. The I don't know how to put it, but we know the gist of it. It's either for business reasons, personal reasons, but either way, it isn't my business. My job was to deliver buckets and deliver memories, have fun on the court. That was my business, and I did my job.
Fair enough. Well, and you also, I think, speaking of the jersey thing, I think you're eligible soon. It would have been, I think it's supposed to be 5 years after your career ends. I remember doing this while you were still playing. I researched it and talked to Kenny Klein about it and everything. So you are now in the territory where they could retire your number. Is that something that would be meaningful to you to have the number 2 hung up there with Darrell Griffith and Wes Unseld and all those names?
Man, of course. I would love that. That would be amazing. Oh man. Like and it's like it's worth it too, man. It's worth it. Like it's more inspirational than it would be personal. That somebody like me can come in there at a top 5 program, program in the United States college basketball and deliver. And it's possible that you can be remembered for the rest of your life because you made so many people happy. I could have been an asshole my whole 4 years, and I would have had every right to be one because of the way I was, maybe treated or under recruited, and I could have been a snob. And but that was never in my makeup. So my jersey hanging in the rafters for me would have nothing to do with basketball. Like I would want my jersey retired because of the person that I want to be remembered as. And that's and there's no greater honor. Anybody can do what I've done on the court. Anybody can average 19 points and 5 assists. Shit, Carlik is doing it right now. Averaging 18 points and 5 assists. And if he had a Gorgie or a Trez, maybe he wins a championship. Who knows? But that's the way life is. But not everybody will ever be the person that you are. And I think that holds a greater magnitude. I want to be remembered as the person when my jersey is hanging up there, not so much the player and the afterlife of basketball. As I finish up in maybe 7, 8, 9 years, I'll be working on my bourbon within the state. And that's fun. Then I get to drink at the games. I get to be really, really drunk on the sidelines. And that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, you and John Blue can be stirring up trouble on the sidelines. You guys on the court side. Once we're allowed back at those games. Well, you know what I'll say. What I'll say, Russ, is you're looking for that word and that description. And I think for people in Louisville, but honestly, like national sports writers and people who covered you, you'll always be Russ. And just the phrase Russ or Rusticulous, I know was the nickname, but Russ to so many people, it's like they just get it. You know, they just know what that means. So I think that's the great value in the number 2 jersey, is that just means Russ Smith. That's exactly what you're talking about. You know, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So
it's fun. It's fun.
Well, let me ask you, you know, I can't let you go without telling me your favorite all-time Rick Pitino story. You have to share something from the vault. You could be at like a Christmas party, I don't care where, but somebody says, "Hey Russ, what is your all-time favorite Rick Pitino story?" What would you tell them?
All right. Well, you know what it is? I gotta mix it up because I may have ran this, not the same story, but like I'm gonna try and give you a good one. I don't think I've told anyone this. Not so much a story, but it just goes to show, like, you know, our relationship. And I think we were coming back from the Final Four, might have been or just made the Final Four, playing against Kentucky. I don't know. And it was one of those plane rides, or may have been our championship run. But we were on the plane, and everybody was celebrating and stuff. And shit, I went, sat down next to him. He had a vodka tonic, and I had a drink with Coach P on the plane. I got a little sip of had a sip of his vodka tonic, ran back to my seat, and like it's unheard for, like, not looking back on it now. It's so innocent. I mean, I'm 22 years old, 21 years old, but shit, man, like to be able to steal a drink from Rick Pitino on the plane as my coach after coming back from making a Final Four, that was a happy moment for me. And that just meant that I was doing something right, and our relationship was like that. But it's so many stories, Jeff. Like, I mean, there's one in practice where I walked into individuals, and he kicked me. What did he kicked me out at 7 a.m, and then he called me back up after individuals and was like, why do you come in, you know, tired? You know, like, why do you come in tired, lethargic? And I tell him, I'm already a good one-on-one player. Like, I think this is a waste of my time. I'd rather be in bed. You know, I'd rather be in bed. Oh, no. We're playing one-on-one against the managers. Like,
Russ.
And it's 7 a.m. And yeah, that didn't go too well. Then he made it. Then I had to wake up at 6 a.m. So I don't know. It was funny, but at the time it was rough. But our relationship was full of surprises.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny you mentioned the plane story, because just today I was talking with someone about how Luke Hancock would say that and has said a few times, like the scariest thing that would happen is when you were flying back from a loss on the road, and you would have to go sit in the row with Pitino, but you couldn't sit next to him because his suit was draped on the seat. So you had to sit across the aisle from him, and you could hear him screaming at you from across. So the fact that you're able to go sit back there and have a drink with him after probably being yelled at many times in the back of the plane is a pretty stark change in your lifestyle.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't say he gave it to me, but I definitely stole it. I went back there and see, because he was laughing. He was laughing at something, and I think Ralph or Dre was there, and times were good. Everybody was happy, so I went back there to check up on him, and he was enjoying himself, and I wanted to enjoy myself, and then I went back to my seat. But yeah, I've been on the bad end of that plane ride many times, and the bus ride. I forgot where we were. I think we were coming from West Virginia or something, and I was on the bus with him, and I was in the front with him for an hour and a half, and it turned into him yelling at me, you know, get digging into me, and then, but I always like to not tell my side of the story, but as a coach, he was very interested in what I had to say. So he would ask me, he's like, so what were you thinking here? What was going through your head? And I would explain it to him, thought out, and he would judge, be the deciding factor on if I had every right to do that. So it was a game when we played Notre Dame, right? And I reached for the ball. Not that game. We know that game, the 6 overtime game.
Mm-hmm.
The other Notre Dame game, he probably thought I was shaving points. The other Notre Dame game, I reached for the ball, went for a steal, and Eric Atkins, that's still my brother. I think he's a coach somewhere now. He hit a shot, and that was the deciding factor. But I reached for the ball and tried to take it, and he gets me up at 6:30 in the morning. Like, he sends McGee to my room. I go to practice. I go to the facility. I'm in my Cookie Monster pajamas, and I have some slippers, and I'm like, why are you waking me up? Or it might have been Memphis. I don't know. He's like, what were you thinking here? So for an hour, I have to explain to him that I run and jump with me and Peyton run and jump together. So I ran and jumped, and he made a good move. Nobody was there. You know what? It wasn't Notre Dame. It was Memphis. It was Memphis.
Okay.
And I ran and jumped, and I thought Chris Jones was going to be there to, do what me and Peyton do. He spins. You're supposed to be there. I run to my man, and he yelled a little bit, but he couldn't really be mad. Like, I think with Coach, he just needs to hear something that can make him rest easy. He doesn't want to hear any BS.
Well, at least he leveled with you. That sounds like it was at least a productive conversation nonetheless. So that's good.
Yeah, it took a while to do that. And before, I never was able to get anything off my chest. It was always, no, you're stupid. You don't play defense. You're dumb. And after a while, when I led the country in steals, playing 15 minutes a game, he started hearing my side of the story a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that was.
Well, I got to tell you, before I let you go, my all-time favorite Russ Smith story from the year that I covered you was, so for people who don't know, I came, my first day was Halloween of 2013. So I came after the championship season. I covered you your senior year, and you guys were at SMU, and you had, I think, like 25, you had 25 points, but you also yacked in the trash can at the end of the bench. And we're in the locker room afterwards. And I don't know, do you remember Adam Himmelsbach, the columnist? He was like the skinny blonde guy. It was the two.
Yeah.
The two of us were like the only people in the locker room. And we were like, well, Russ, why did you throw up? You were so confused because you said, I had my normal breakfast. And we're like, well, what is that? And you listed like 18 things. And you're like, well, I had like Frosted Flakes. I had Captain Crunch. I had waffles. We're like, how is that a normal breakfast? It's crazy. So that was very much college Russ in a nutshell, was that, because you still had, I think, 25 points in that game and you guys won, but you also yacked up your breakfast and your lunch.
I had a major heat check that game too. I was shooting from making it from everywhere. I was throwing up in it. It was something I ate, I think, the night. We got in late. And the food was cold as hell the night before, and it was bad, and it went bad. And with those hotels, it ain't like the food you get if you in New York or you go to your dude and he make your burgers or whatever. This is hotel food, so they probably cooked that burger a long time ago and then just heated it up at 10 when we were supposed to get there, but we got there like 11:30, and we had to eat that cold food. But I was hungry, and beggars can't be choosers, and I needed to go to bed with a good stomach, full, and I paid the price for it the next day, especially after the breakfast I had. It was all good.
Yeah, you put up 25 and you yacked in a trash can with George W. Bush and Tony Romo in the audience for that game. So that's an all-time Russ Smith moment in Louisville basketball history.
Yeah,
so you can be proud of that.
I got to talk to George Bush too. I got to see if he remember that. I'm pretty sure he does.
It's hard to forget a guy losing his lunch on the sideline. So in fairness, he probably does remember that. Well, Russ, you've been so generous with your time as always. I love talking with you. It's great to see you, and I'm glad you're doing well. Best of luck to you this season, and tell everybody what they can find with all your business ventures. Where can they find all your stuff?
Oh man, thank you. Thank you for having me. And for right now, obviously my Instagram handle is Russdiculous. My Twitter handle is Russdiculous and Russ Smith. My bourbon company, Mr. and Mrs. Bourbon.com, and then the Twitter handle is Mr. and Mrs. Bourbon, and should be on shelves soon. I'm always giving updates, so just stay tuned. Hopefully I can make enough juice for everybody.
Yeah, you won't have to steal anybody's drinks anymore. You can have some for yourself.
Yeah, but nobody better not steal my drinks out of liquor barn. That's for sure. I'm gonna make sure Officer Dale and all the cops, Metro Police, will be on them. Somebody steals my drinks.
I love it. Well, thanks so much, man, and I appreciate it. And be safe over there, and be healthy, and have fun.
Thanks. Appreciate you, Jeff.
All right, see you then.